The West Virginia Secretary of State's office has dismissed a complaint questioning the residency of a Wood County Board of Education member. Chad Connolly alleged that Debbie Hendershot updated her voter registration address to become eligible for appointment to the District C school board seat while actually living outside the district. Chad Connolly filed the complaint following Hendershot's appointment to the board position. Connolly himself was also previously a candidate for the seat. In a letter dismissing the case, investigators said, quote, they did not find sufficient evidence to support a finding of a violation of election law. The investigation included 2 investigators visiting Hendershot's claimed residence and conducting a thorough examination of the property, according to her attorney, Bill Merriman.
They went through her house. They went through her closets. They went in the bathroom. And if they would have had evidence that she was not a resident there, they wouldn't have just written this letter and said they don't find sufficient evidence.
Connolly has also filed a writ of mandamus in the Wood County Circuit Court asking a judge to intervene. The case is still pending before Judge J.D. Bean. Connolly maintains his allegations, saying he believes the board, quote, knows what they did was wrong, unquote. Merriman expressed satisfaction with the Secretary of State's decision. Law enforcement